Welcome to the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. I'm your host, Neighbor Nate, and I'm glad you're in the neighborhood. Welcome back, neighbors, to episode number 54 of the Music Festivals podcast. This is the show that helps you get to know music festivals, festival venues, and campgrounds before you go. And as always, I am your host, Neighbor Nate. And this week, we are recapping the INKcarceration Music and Tattoo Festival. This was at the Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio, and that was from July 18th through the 20th. I got to go there with my son, Kaden. It was his very first music festival, and that was an incredible experience all around. But it was also my first metal festival that I've ever been to, or at least festival dedicated solely towards heavy metal. It was just an incredible experience, and there's a full documentary that you're gonna hear about in a moment. But before we get to that, I do want to get to giving a quick shout out to our brand partner, D-Law Coffee Company.
Hey y'all, it's Drury from D-Law Coffee Company. Let's take it from the beginning. Hi, my name is Drury Anderson, and I'm a 21-year-old musician from Alabama. Music has always been a part of me, and I'm super lucky to be traveling around touring with my best friends. Whether it's playing music or putting together something for my friends, I've always been passionate about the power of a shared experience. As some of you know, touring around the country involves a lot, and to me, good coffee is essential to staying fueled while on the road. After consulting with friends in the business, I decided to give it a go. My goal is simple: get coffee to people all over who need it the most. So whether you play music, love music, or your passion lies somewhere else, D-Law Coffee is here for you. Fuel the music.
So this documentary that we worked on at INKcarceration, it was cool because it was the first time that I had actually more footage than I needed. So Kaden, turns out he's a very talented photographer and helped me shoot a lot of the B-roll as well as the interview footage. So hat tip to him, because I'm really happy with the way it came out, and it wouldn't have been possible without the work he was doing at his very first music festival. And I think he had a good time as well.
Okay. Oh God, let me zoom up. So right now we're in between bands. This is gonna be the last band of the night, Falling in Reverse. Pretty excited. That's gonna be really cool. This is insane though. Like, this crowd of people and fucking like the prison too. Like, I'm really into that haunted stuff. Like, it's just insane. Like, this is actually insane. This is awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to go into the pit.
Get media lounge access, which was very, very nice of DW Presents to provide that for all the folks that were doing media, photography, things like that. Came with, even refreshments and hospitality and whatnot, which, in the middle of a hot day when you're carrying heavy gear around, that is actually really nice. So hats off to those guys for that. But we had the chance to interview a lot of longtime festival attendees for INKcarceration, as well as first-time festival goers, staff and volunteers, and even a band named Archon Theory, and you'll get to hear from them in the documentary. So head on over to the YouTube channel and look for the documentaries playlist, or you can go to musicfestivalspodcast.com and find the documentary under the Festival Documentaries tab right up in the navigation. Pretty easy to find. And there's also other documentaries of festivals. This is becoming a thing that we do. But I no longer want to just simply have an episode and then play the documentary. That's a cop out. So we're actually going to use this as more of the recap episode of, really just what is the opinion of INKcarceration? What do you need to know before you go? So again, this was held July 18th through the 20th, 2025 at the historic Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield, Ohio. And it really is kind of crazy because we've been up there for the ghost tours. My son, Kaden, again, grew up as a kid who was very much into the supernatural ghost tour type thing. So we did that for a few birthday parties and whatnot. And he and his friends are really into it. So we're very familiar with the site for that. But seeing it transformed in from this eerie, like old, horrible prison into this concert venue for metal and dark arts and things like that was really, really cool. It just has this crazy energy and this ambiance to it. The lineup included over 60 bands, and that was across 2 stages. And that was giants like Slipknot. That was really who Kaden was there to see. And one of the bands that I was familiar with, it was their only U.S. tour date in 2025, but also Five Finger Death Punch. We caught them. I believe they were on Sunday. Lamb of God, Falling in Reverse was a Friday night band that I really liked. I had never heard of them before. 3 Days Grace, another band I was familiar with, and Knocked Loose as well. I knew the names of all these bands. I had heard one or two songs, but I wouldn't say that I was much of a fan. So having Kaden along was great because he definitely is a fan, right? Like he definitely is a metalhead. I know he was also a big fan of I Prevail, and they played there as well. But the crowd drew about, I would say, somewhere in between 50 and 90,000 attendees, maybe, depending on, who you ask at this point. If you're looking at the upwards end of that, I would account for day passes. Some people only came one day. So across the 3 days, perhaps there were 90,000 people there. But my guess is at one point, at one time, maybe 50,000, which was crazy, which was so many people, but it was really cool. Getting there and getting set up for us actually worked out really well. So I was coming directly from 4848 in Snowshoe, West Virginia, and that was the final stop on the All Good Presents Trifesta. So these are more jam band festivals, bluegrass, things like that. So go back and check out those documentaries as well. But got home really, really late Friday morning, or really early Friday morning. Got some sleep, and then the next morning got up and we started packing gear for this. Kaden was already at the house, so we grabbed him, and then Mansfield from us is about 50-minute drive. So we got on our way. What was interesting is that they had pass pickup at the Days Inn in Mansfield, which is off of an exit that I'm very familiar with. But at that exit, there's a Walmart, multiple gas stations. There are multiple different fast food restaurants. There's even, if you're really hungry, there's a great Mexican restaurant up the hill across the highway, and they do a really nice job there too. But what was nice is that they did the pass pickup there, at least for us. I know VIP was in that area as well, but then that was your last stop before you needed to go to the fairgrounds, and so everything was right there in case you forgot any last minute essentials. But a very, very short drive to the fairgrounds from that point. The camping and the campground logistics were fairly easy. We got there when there wasn't a huge rush. A lot of people were already in and at the festival at that point. So I don't know what the lines look like early on, but driving into the campground was super easy. They did pull you over to check all your security stuff. They're looking for glass and guns and weapons of any kind. Don't bring those. What was interesting about this was that never considered this, that Caden's cologne was in a glass bottle, and I didn't even know he'd bring cologne. My son would bring cologne to a music festival. But they had to confiscate that because it was a big, heavy glass bottle. And I said, well, yeah, Kaden, that definitely is not allowed. So security went out of their way to go try to find a plastic bottle and a way that we could get the expensive cologne out of the glass bottle. And I thought that was really kind of them. It didn't end up working out. It was not a big deal. It was like half full, but it was nice that they were courteous enough to try. So that was great. Our camp was centrally located on a very end corner, very end cap, which was perfect. It was a double space on high ground. It was right across from Porta John's and close to the Showers and General Store in the campground. So we really, really lucked out there in terms of getting good placement, and the ground wasn't super wet at the time we were setting up. So that was great. Within about 5 minutes, there were coffee and food trucks conveniently located, and that was near the bus pickups as well as from the drop-offs areas. So that's something to be aware of too, is that the bus pickups and the drop-off areas are two different areas. Don't stand in line in the wrong area.
So we just stood in the shuttle drop-off for like 25 minutes waiting for shuttle. Don't do that, right? When you come out of the campground in INKcarceration, look for shuttles to festival. The first place you come with the shuttles is going to be the drop-off. Now you're going to walk down this road with the buses, I guess, and that's going to be, as long as it's the same, that's going to be where you need to go to actually get to the venue. So now we're going to get to the venue because we're fucking late.
It's all right though. We make it. We
Right.
ball. We chill.
The RVs, and there was a lot of them, were populated all over the place. So there was a main RV section and areas where they were clustered, but then they kind of lined the walkways and lined the perimeter in some places of the tent, which was interesting. And the one thing I will say, and I'll say this a few times, is definitely if you are an RV person, book your tickets early because you can get full water and 30 or 50 amp hookups at the Richland County Fairground. And a lot of RVs had that. And doing it again, I would do that because that would be really nice to have an air conditioned RV to come back to with your own shower and things like that. Because speaking of showers, the amenities were great. They had tons of them. I've never seen such a long line for men's showers at a festival ever. And it makes sense. You have a lot of men down towards the stage, mosh pitting, and women, but a lot of men mosh pitting, slam dancing, crowd surfing, what have you, working up a sweat. So then when the concert's over, everybody wants to get a shower because they feel gross and they're covered in mud. So that's one thing to think about is if you are going to use the facilities to take a shower at incarceration, bring sandals. You don't want to step on that ground. B, get there early. And just realize that you're probably not going to come out much cleaner than when you went in. Because of just the sheer volume. But they did do a good job after the rush of cleaning things immediately, and within an hour or two, everything was cleaned up and dry and whatnot to the extent that it could be. So that was good. Mud was very abundant at this. There was multiple times, and we knew this going into it. There was multiple times that it was going to rain throughout the weekend, thunderstorms, heavy rain, things like that. So I really focused. Normally, again, if you watch the show, you know that I'd like to travel in an RV, a trailer that I haul, but we didn't want to bring that for this one. So what I have is a 10 by 20 heavy canopy, kind of what you would see a vendor unit use at a festival, and then a 10 by 20 RV rug, and we set that up and then put the Coleman 6-person easy up tent underneath that, put the walls up on the canopy. We were dry. It was like having our own cabin, right, with a bedroom all weekend. It was great. Rain came down. We never felt a drop of it. Everything was solid. We had fans. We had our own electricity in there. We had 2 Sport Near camping cots as well as 2 Coleman 4-inch thick memory foam pads that made it really, really comfortable to sleep, especially because we had air flowing through. And then we lit the whole thing with lines of bulbs, right? So like the LED lights. We had some Coleman outdoor folding camping tables, and then I brought a 2,500 watt Generac inverted quiet generator, and I think that's really important for campgrounds is bring the quiet generator. Camp chairs, our igloo water cooler with a collapsible wash bin, which was super handy for washing the feet off at night and whatnot. But all this to say, prepare right for the weather, especially at a big festival like this, when at some point you're going to get muddy, you're going to want to clean off. So do your homework. Don't half-ass it. Don't just rush to get there and party. Like, you'll be miserable if weather hits. We were not miserable. We were very comfortable. I'll put this full equipment list down into the description, just so you can see some of the stuff that we were using. I test this stuff a lot, and it seemed to work out really well. The shuttle and the transportation experience, honestly, was incredibly fluid, right? They did a really nice job with this. We didn't have to wait more than 10 to 20 minutes, even during peak periods, to get to or from the campground, to the venue. In fact, even in the afternoon, we went back to the campground just to get some food, take a rest for a little bit, and then went back to the venue from there. Riding the bus is a hoot. People were super excited, very polite, but some were just downright hilarious. People are, singing out songs, making jokes. It's a good experience, but we were also lucky that we were on air conditioned buses with comfortable seats. And so, hats off to DWP for making what is pretty complex logistics of getting that many people to and from, different areas that far away. Made it really seamless for everybody. It was impressive. The security presence at this festival, given the amount of people, given the energy and the aggression you would expect in the music, was super, super cool. They were very visible, right? You saw officers walking around, but they were just chilling with the crowd. A lot of canine units, just making sure that people aren't bringing in guns, things like that. They did have a lot of mounted officers, which you would expect in large crowds just for sheer crowd control, right? Horses are very handy in terms of pushing people around if they need to. I would imagine that there were some plainclothes officers walking around the campground as well as the the concert venue, but clearly you never saw them. But I was really blown away at the lack of any incidents that's really happened. People took care of each other for the most part. There were people that got hurt. There were people that medical was busy. But none of those people, it wasn't from any violent acts. It was other than what they were throwing themselves into, mosh pit, things like that, right? Injuries happen. Sports, like, it's a sport. So that was really interesting. There was a tense moment where I was off to the side. I witnessed a couple kind of having a spat. She was really, really upset. If you were in the area, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. She was upset. He was trying to, like, kind of console her. Everything was moving real fast and nobody was detained or anything. But a few minutes later, I saw, okay, there was a guy talking to the guy. There was a guy talking to the woman. They de-escalated everything, calmed it down. And within a couple hours, I ended up seeing that couple again, making up, being cool again. So I was just very impressed with nobody got wrestled out, that the guy didn't get wrestled out or anything. Like, he just kind of, they de-escalated the situation and took care of it. It was impressive. The layout of the venue, despite the scale, is super easy to get around. There's a lot of shaded rest zones that I thought were really nice with ample seating. And that made, places to eat easy, breaks easy. It got hot during the day. Um, Afternoon heat, it was impressive to me how long there were 2 to 3 different places to get ice cream. And the lines for that were just around the block, right? Like, everybody wanted ice cream. So that was the most popular, but totally worth the wait because it was good ice cream. The merch and the vendors, the food vendors were all good. It's your standard festival food. I always get mac and cheese. I found good mac and cheese. But the merch vendors were also, what was interesting is they were all branded the same. There was no, like, exterior signage that was unique to the vendor. It was all kind of, it almost looked like you were in Dublin, Ohio, right? Where it was the same type of sign and it had the name and that was about it. And then when you went into the booth, they had their own branding and things like that. But everything was very uniform, but very, very well organized. Lots of available beverages everywhere you looked. You'll see that in the documentary. That was nice and convenient. That was very, very cool. Things to know that if you want to do them, book them in advance. Any type of prison or tattoo experiences. If you want to do the blood prison tour or the other penitentiary experiences, these sell out fast. Keep an eye out for the booking announcements. Get in early, get them scheduled. That way you're guaranteed to get in. We did not get to do any of that. And then if you're going to get tattoos, the artists typically list their availability shortly after the lineup drops. And so you can reach out to these artists directly and get on their schedule. I know that a guy that I've gone to who did my chest, Nate Marty, had people that were pre-booked for the festival as well. Some do walk-ins for the more flash-oriented work, but even that got busy, especially on Saturday, Sunday. So definitely, do your homework there, get ahead. All in all, though, INKcarceration was an incredible experience. It was big, it was loud. I wore my eargasm earphones or earplugs more there than I ever have at any festival. But man, it was a hell of a good time. And the people and the vibe were friendly and took care of each other and gave you shit. And I kind of enjoyed that, right? A lot of people just wanted to give you shit. And that was a lot of fun too. So definitely, depending on what your family values are, I think it's a family friendly festival. Just, be advised that your kids are going to see some things, right? That, depending on where you lean, that might be okay. That might be not okay. But it was a friendly vibe, right? Like, everybody took care of each other. I would go back again. I would do other DWP events. I think they, especially, I'm impressed that they can do what they can do at the scale that they can do it. And that wasn't even their biggest. I got to see Rockville now, right? Just to see what the magnitude of that shit show is. But yeah, it was a good festival. I definitely would recommend it, especially just to see the prison in the background. Super cool. Be interesting to see when the lineup drops, who they're going to have next year. But special thanks to DWP for granting us media access to shoot the documentary and to check out the festival and the hospitality and the media lounge. Just really, really wonderful stuff. Make sure to check out the film Inside INKcarceration Music and Tattoo documentary. That's now live on the YouTube channel and on the documentaries page on musicfestivalspodcast.com. And look for more upcoming documentaries, including hopefully one on Hookahville 61 coming up at the J&M Ranch in Ansonia, Ohio, Watermelon Pickers Festival that's coming up at the end of September down in Berryville, Virginia, and then the Sunshine Hootenanny 2025 that's down at the Florida Sand Music Ranch, one of my favorite venues in Florida, and that's going to be a really, really good one. So hopefully we'll be able to get some good interviews and put some docs together on that. While you are on the site, if you're checking out those documentaries, subscribe to the Neighborhood Monthly newsletter. That comes out tomorrow morning, actually. News and updates are always going to be in that once a month on festivals and festival news and bands, with special features as well as discount codes from our affiliates. And those include Outdoorsy.com, Inikim Electric Scooters, Melted Mind Designs, Cast Magic, CapCut, Opus Clip, Hoem and the Hoem iSteady M7 Gimbal, and Custom Made Casino. And as always, thanks to our partner D-Law Coffee Company and Drury Anderson for supporting the podcast. Get your own bag of D-Law Coffee at dlawcoffeecompany.com and fuel the music. Next week, we have a Grassfire 2025 recap coming up. That was at Nelson Ledges Quarry Park over the 4th of July. I'm just now getting to that one, but really interesting stuff came out of that festival, so make sure to tune in for that. If you are listening to the audio podcast first, thank you very much for that, but please go ahead and rate the show. If you're on Spotify or Apple, would very much appreciate that there. Then head on over to YouTube and subscribe there to make sure that you get all of the videos, including the festival documentaries that I've been talking about. Join the conversation with your neighbors in the comments on YouTube, or you can go to the Music Festival Podcast Facebook page, and that's simple. Search on Facebook for Music Festivals Podcast, or you can find me directly on Instagram. I'm at Neighbor Nate Fests, Neighbor N8 Fests, or just at Nate Riggs. Either one works. I appreciate all of you who tune into the show this week, but that's all I've got for you. As always, I am your host, Neighbor Nate, and I hope to be your neighbor at a festival very soon.